And at 10, FNAF 4 House. Starting off with the most recent game in the series, Five Nights at Freddy's Help Wanted Curse of Dreadbear DLC. If you decide to take a break from all the spook, you are able to get some special views of the scenery that had quite a lot of effort put into it. They have special events like Dreadbear rising out of the blood red sea and walking into a barn behind you, Foxy's ship swaying over that very same sea, and the ever so looming Dreadbear spawning giant-sized over the hills. But finally, we can actually place where this Halloween festival is taking place. In the distance on the hill, you are able to see the silhouette of a very familiar house, the same silhouette that appears in Five Nights 4. This house is commonly believed to be the Afton's family residence, which implies some things that will be taken into account later in this list. There's a lot of Help Wanted stuff in here because everyone has already picked the other hidden secrets to shreds, so like I gotta use the new stuff. Like, there's not really an option. Except for number 9, IV, flowers, and pills. One of the most common theories about what is happening in Five Nights at Freddy's 4 is that what we are experiencing is happening in the mind of the crying child, who is laying in a hospital bed because of the bite and who will die at the end of the game. This theory was first brought on by the Easter eggs of an IV, a vase of flowers, and a jar of pills that can be visible next to the child's bed when the screen is brightened, because we all know how much we love to brighten screens now. These are no doubt referencing the fact that we are just truly waiting in the hospital, just approaching our deaths, thanks to the flatline we hear at the end of the game. This led to the idea that the whole game series is a dream, and that you can play as the crying child in all of them, living out a life full of terror thanks to the animatronics that took your sister. And at 8, Ultimate Custom FNAF World. This Easter egg was pointed out by MapHat in one of his final timeline videos for Ultimate Custom Night, where he started the video spending 10 minutes downloading a fresh copy of both FNAF World and Ultimate Custom Night so that nothing had been unlocked yet. In FNAF World, you were able to dive deep into the game's code and visit Old Man Consequences, who will say some things and then ultimately make you drown yourself because you need to get out. This reveals the secret ending of the game and gives you a trophy for it. In Ultimate Custom Night, you are able to visit Old Man Consequences as well, who tells you to leave the demon to his demons and rest your own soul. However, if you do this, you'll need to drown yourself again to leave the game. Doing this while never even playing a second of FNAF World will unlock the Old Man Consequences trophy, which is odd, but might be Scott's way of saying that the game is still canon. I mean, it did talk about sentient code and things in the game affecting the things in the real world, since you lay out clues for FNAF 3, probably hinting at the fact that the game may be the key in solving the lore going forward. Since we're seeing the same sorts of things emerge, sentient code, games affecting the outside world, it's interesting and worth exploring further. I just don't have the time for it. And at 7, Consequences. In Ultimate Custom Night, if you put Old Man Consequences in at level 1 and play his minigame, you can end up visiting his pond like in FNAF World. However, while doing this, you can hear a very faint ambiance. While it may seem like normal Five Nights at Freddy's sounds at first, when sped up it actually sounds like the distorted screams of a man. The sound goes from 2 minutes and 54 seconds to 18 seconds, and is commonly believed to be William Afton screaming in the deepest depths of hell, since we're playing as him in Ultimate Custom Night. But this also means that Afton isn't experiencing the mini game with Old Man Consequences, so how are we able to see it? And who are we playing as in this pond? Probably Golden Freddy, Cassidy, the one you should not have killed, the one who is torturing Afton for all eternity in the deepest damnation of hell because they can't leave the demon to his demons and rest their own soul. Because while there may be nothing else, at least revenge is something, right? And at 6, Endo. To find the secret, you'll need to play FNAF 2 and Help Wanted quite a bit. The fact that when you load the game, you can start off with an endoskeleton just standing in your office is honestly terrifying. And there are plenty of more secret animatronics in Help Wanted, like Helpy being behind the monitor, but he'd only get his own spot if he was buff Helpy because that would be scary. The fact that he doesn't do anything doesn't help either. We're supposed to believe that the other animatronics attack naked endoskeletons, but actually, they will leave this damn thing alone. Sure, it's because it's the first location we see in the game, so they haven't gotten that feature yet, but that just begs the question, why did they get that feature in the first place? Why did someone think it was needed for them to make this hideous beast their target? Why? Why was it required? Was it just because he was just like, oh, I'm just gonna stand around in the office, and they're like, no, get him out? I don't know. Halfway through number 5, Mini Rena and Biddy Bap. The mini arenas actually appear in Help Wanted. In the plush trap darkroom, you have the chance to see one of them in one of the doors, which is probably just a distraction tactic used by Scott just to get you to get jump scared, but it's still going to damn well work. And you can also encounter a Biddy Bap doll in Baby's mini game, where you need to close the closet door in the FNAF 4 house, but not for too long, otherwise the plush babies will kill you. Yeah, you can see the Biddy Bap near the door, and honestly it's just freaky, especially because you can't look at it for too long, otherwise baby jump scares you because you still gotta close the damn door. Also, has anyone completed the game using only flat mode? Because from what I've seen, the game is way harder that way. If you haven't completed the game using only flat mode, let me know in the comments, because congratulations. Holy damn. In it 4 secret audio. In the corn maze stage in the Curse of Dreadbear DLC, after collecting all 4 keys you are able to find a 5th purple key, where if you find it you are able to unlock the cellar in the middle of the map. If you do, you enter, finding a glitch trap bunny mask on the table of the barn you go to whenever you successfully complete a mission. Except this time, it's busted up and rotten. If you wear this mask in the main hub, which you can after unlocking it, you should hold the glitch trap plush you get after defeating him using the tape girl's instructions. If you do so, you hear some creepy audio of a one-sided conversation between a female and someone else. Most likely glitch trap, since you know you need to be holding his plush. It seems as if she's preparing, making sure she is ready for something, and that she's made the mask. Perhaps she is waiting for his return. I mean, there was that female rabbit with a knife in one of the latest Freddy Fazbear promos. It's probably her, in all honesty. And at 3, Spring Bonnie. In Five Nights 3 on Cam 10, there is a poster of Freddy. This is the typical sight. However, you can rarely see a Spring Bonnie replacing the poster, showing a cartoonish version of the main antagonist of the game. While this could very well just be a golden Bonnie, the fact that it appears in the game surrounding William Afton in the Springtrap suit is enough cause to believe that this is meant to be Spring Bonnie. It's a cute poster if you ignore all the blood and decay surrounding it, but I mean, it's about everyone's favorite human in a suit that got a load of spring locks shoved into him yet somehow survived until Pizzeria Simulator, where he ultimately burns to death in the worst parody of Blaze of Glory ever. At least he gets his comeuppance in Ultimate Custom Night, where he is being tortured by the souls of the damned for all eternity. Or is he? This is actually really interesting, especially if Glitch Trap is Willie Afton. Where's his soul gonna be if he gets out of the game? Like what? Penultimately at number 2, Glitch Trap Dance. Again, heading to the Curse of Dreadbear DLC. While in blacklight mode, or hard mode as some call it, in the main menu, if you press the button on the back of the monitor and look at the car with its headlights on for around 10 seconds, this can trigger the sight of Glitch Trap dancing at the top of the hill near the FNAF 4 house. This seems to be pointing to the highly believed theory that Glitch Trap is William Afton, who saved his consciousness in circuit boards, who has been brought back to life in Help Wanted. This could also answer the question of whose car is sitting there. It could be the player's, but they acknowledge how the game is a game, so why would the car be yours? The fact that you need to look at the car indicates to me that it is William Afton's car, the one we see him kill Henry's kid in FNAF 2, and the one he drives in Midnight Motorist. That's what it seems like to me, and to several others as well, so there you go. Finally, in at number 1, it's me. There was only one person who was able to see this Easter egg to my knowledge, and it involves getting the Curse of Dreadbear DLC and completing the game to be taken to the victory screen. There you will find 3 posters reminiscent of the ones in the alleyway in Pizzeria Simulator. However, the issue arises when you realize that to be able to unlock this Easter egg, you need to get 3 clown posters, which is incredibly rare, and I mean like incredibly rare. Plus, then you need to hit them with darts, which you only get 4 of, and if you miss 2 of them, you're screwed. So be sure you get your skills up to par before actually finding these posters. If you do manage to do this, the barn changes to seemingly a blacklight version, where the banner changes to read "It's me" and everything starts glowing because of the blacklight. While this hasn't been completed by more than Johnny Blocks from what I've seen, it may still be true, but I mean he did also do that and then get 3 cat posters like immediately after, so he might have been hacking. I'll have to look into it on my own to see if it's real. It would take a long time though. And at 10, Fazbear Frights owners. Now this is a bit of a cheaty one, but the guys who actually end up opening, or maybe where they're just like working in Fazbear Frights, the location that we're in for FNAF 3 don't actually have names, even like let alone faces. The guy who says that they found old training tapes, or the one who introduces the actual phone guy tapes, has never really been seen. Which makes sense given that he's not really a major character, but it's still something that I think is worth mentioning, okay? Because without them, there would be no FNAF 3, which means that there'd be no rest of the series. Like either because they wouldn't have opened the place if they didn't exist, or even if they weren't like the owners and they were just like the key holders or something, they wouldn't have been there to open the door, thus no gameplay other than just standing outside. So even if you're mad at me for it, these guys, whatever their names are, deserve their moment in the spotlight. So thank you, possibly deceased FNAF 3 guys, for your service to this series as a whole, as well as your contributions to breaking my brain. I really appreciate it. And at 9, Lewis. Lewis was introduced in FNAF AR through emails that he's lucky only he is able to see and not HR. Lewis is a creepy coworker of Ness who works IT at the company creating all the robots for the Fazbear Entertainment delivery service that we experience in Special Delivery, and is probably the creepiest damn character in the entire series, including William. You know what, honestly I'm surprised that he wasn't killed, especially because Ness is indeed Vanessa and Vanny, since he seems to be onto their scheme a little bit. Like he's intercepted search queries and emails that just make Ness seem off and straight up like a serial killer, since she ordered realistic human masks at some point, didn't she? Well, honestly, we know more about these human masks than we do about Lewis, since we know nothing about him. We only know his name, not even a voice or a face. So yeah, Lewis is certainly one of FNAF's hidden characters. And for the few people in the comments saying that FNAF AR is a fan game, no it's not. Why on earth would you think that it was, okay? What gave you that impression? It is a canonical entry to the series. It's not a full game, but it's still like FNAF 8.5 at least. And it ain't Jeremy. As I've said in the Souls Trapped in Animatronics video, Jeremy is probably the biggest troll name in FNAF history, being used for 3 separate characters. However, only 2 of them are actually direct victims of William. Jeremy is the name of one of the original missing children who goes on to possess Bonnie. The other Jeremy is a playtester for the Freddy Fazbear Virtual Experience, the one who was testing the game before Tape Girl, who ends up finding the glitch trap anomaly, and that causes him to go mad. And by going mad, I mean genuinely psycho. It's since Jeremy ends up cutting off his own face, which is interesting, given that the Withered Bonnie animatronic, as seen in FNAF 2, is also missing his face. It's interesting, because like, Withered Bonnie is the animatronic possessed by the missing children's incident Jeremy, but then this Jeremy cuts off his face. I mean, like, I don't know if that was, if it means anything, or if it's intended, or just a coincidence, but knowing this series, I'm always worried that like the smallest detail is gonna have the biggest consequence. Either way, okay, we don't end up seeing Jeremy's face before or after he removed it, and the fact that he removed it makes him even more hidden in my mind. But like, bro, seriously, how the hell did you do that? And it's 7 original victims. While yes, we see the original victims' ghosts in the FNAF 3 Happiest Day minigame, as well as when they create Springtrap, they literally all use the same ghost sprite, okay? So we haven't really seen their true forms in the games. We've seen a potential look for Cassidy in the survival logbook, but within the context of the games, we've never really seen what the original missing children look like. So in a way, Gabriel, Susie, Fritz, Jeremy, and Cassidy are all hidden characters in that sense. I know that you were probably expecting this list to be about characters that we don't know about, but how the hell could we make that list? That just doesn't seem possible. If we don't know the characters, how are we supposed to find out about the characters for a list? I have no contact with Scott Cawthon, and even if I did, I don't think that he'd spill the beans on characters we missed. I don't think it would happen. And it's 6 sister location technicians. The technicians are 2 employees of Fazbear Entertainment Inc. who used to work with the Funtime animatronics of Circus Babies Entertainment and Rental from FNAF Sister Location. One technician is soft-spoken and seems bored with his job, implying that he may be used to it, while the other, who speaks using a Brooklyn accent, appears to be less experienced and more uneasy with the environment of Circus Babies. The 2 technicians appear for the first time during Night 4, when they use the scooper on Ballora, and during Night 5, their dead bodies are seen hanging in Ballora's gallery and the Funtime Auditorium. It's unknown why Ennard didn't use one of their bodies to escape. Some fans speculate that it was because the Funtime animatronics wanted to make Michael Afton suffer, because, like, you know, they thought he was William, they wanted to get revenge, they wanted to torture him. However, we never actually get to see the faces of these characters, and on all honesty, in my opinion, they could still be fake. Considering how these animatronics are at times able to recreate the voices of other people, could these actually just be dummy bodies meant to scare us? And like, Ennard needed Ballora to get scooped anyway so that she could then become a part of Ennard. So why would they want to kill them for revenge on that? Is it because of the shocking baby thing? Because like, even then, I feel like Baby's probably into that. Halfway through into number 5, Mrs. Afton. Despite the thorough belief in some fans that Mrs. Afton possessed Ballora, we haven't actually seen Mrs. Afton at all in the games. Well, honestly, we don't even know her actual 100% confirmed as canon name. So a hidden character Mrs. Afton certainly is. We don't even know what happened to her, or if she really existed at all, or if Afton's kids just were adopted and then he used Ballora as a surrogate mother. Like, sure, there's a family table in Security Breach with a mother at it, but that could just be because there was a mother figure in their lives, at least. But we don't know if that figure was the kid's biological mother, or hell, if she was even human. So yeah, there also isn't really any evidence in the game or any other real part of the lore that suggests what happened to her if she was married to William. Some say that she dies in a car crash. I'd say that there's nothing that suggests she died at all, but it's FNAF, so that is a safe bet. But other than that, there's not really an explanation as to what happened with Mrs. Afton, or who she was as a person, or even as a mother, okay, if she ever got the chance to be. So yeah, mystery. In it for Tape Girl. Tape Girl was a developer for the Freddy Fazbear Virtual Experience in FNAF Help Wanted. However, given the unknown malicious code in the game, she left secrets scattered amongst the minigames in hopes that it would be dealt with at a later time. procrastination right there. All of her tapes can be played in the tape room, which can be unlocked by hitting the tape placed on the shelf in the prize counter with any droppable item. Once unlocked, it can be accessed through the tape player placed above the smaller monitor in the level select room from Blacklight mode. The tape room is mostly just darkness with a desk in the center, but on that desk there is a shelf where all the tapes that you've collected are stored. The player can listen to them by just selecting them, and then it goes in the tape player. You don't really need to pick anything up or move it. But all we ever see about Tape Girl is her voice. There is nothing else, which begs the question if she was even real, or if this is a sort of like glitch trap acting like baby thing, where he made her up so that we'd trust her, and then he ultimately locked us away in our minds. Honestly, I don't doubt that. I feel like that could be a thing, although it's not likely. Getting close to the end, and in number 3, the top. Now, whether or not she knew about this, okay, Vanessa's recommendation for the night guard position came from the top. That's how it's described in the game, which does end up confusing plenty of people in the administration, as we learned from other various duffel bags. She had no security experience, and she was being transferred from another part of the company, but nevertheless, she still got the job, despite multiple people saying that they wouldn't go forward with hiring her, which ultimately probably led to their deaths, if we're totally honest. So, who on earth is the one ordering her promotions? Seemingly, we got no idea. We could assume maybe it's William, but he's currently plugged in charging in the basement, so it would have to be someone else who knew her, and knew Afton's interest in her, and then made her a VR tester so that she could then get possessed, and then made her a security guard afterwards so that Afton could get her to do what he needed her to do. But who could it possibly be? MatBat seems to think that it's Gregory as a hacker who's pulling the strings, but until that's confirmed, it's yet another person in this series that we've heard about but have yet to see. God damn it, Scott. But ultimately, in at number 2, Henry Emily. While Henry does ultimately perish thanks to the FNAF 6 fire, he honestly should have been a target for William beforehand, especially once he learned about who was actually committing crimes in the restaurants. But William didn't go after him for some reason. I mean, like, maybe it would have been too obvious. Like, there were 5 murders that occurred inside the walls of the restaurants, and they already suspect William for it, but then boom, his business partner goes missing, and William is left as the sole proprietor to the business. That is a super sus move that would definitely result in being ejected, okay? Like, motive means an opportunity. Motive, absolutely there, especially if, like, let's say William was, like, cheating with Henry's wife or something, which I doubt. But I mean, like, means easy to find. Just find the knife. And then, like, honestly, killing Henry would only have resulted in William going to jail, which probably saved Henry's life. But still, despite all of this, we still don't know what Henry looks like. I mean, we have the desk guy, who is like our best guess to be Henry, but that's 8-bit. And other than that, we have no look for him in the games. Maybe he shows up in like the Silver Eyes graphic novel, I'm not sure. But you're all adamant that the books and games are separate. Okay, so if he is, you can't yell at me in the comments without being hypocritical, okay? So if he's in the novels, if he's in the graphic novel where we actually get visual representation, you can't yell at me for it. I win. Ha! And finally, in number 1, Phone Guy. While in the end, Phone Guy wasn't the killer, he still isn't really very helpful in the long run, considering how he says that we aren't actually going to get killed. Well, okay, like, he warns us to be careful, but he doesn't say explicitly you're going to die. I don't know. I don't like this guy, okay? He could have done so much more. And in essence, all he said was be careful, it's trial and error. Because honestly, after surviving this job for so long, you'd think that whoever this Phone Guy is would have had some goddamn tips on how not to die. But instead, he just gives us the freaking company motto. Like, I don't care if one of the animatronics bit someone 10 years ago, okay? They're trying to kill me now, what do I do? Anyway, this is the original FNAF hidden character, okay? We know that he's voiced by Scott, but unless the Phone Guy is moonlighting as a rogue indie game developer, they aren't the same dude, okay? We have no idea what the Phone Guy looks like, okay? He can't look like Scott unless he is the indie game developer now. So yeah, we don't know what he looks like. And honestly, at this point, the Phone Guy might still be William Afton. And we can't tell, since we've never seen him. I mean, we've heard William talk, but maybe he was just faking an American accent like freaking Tom Holland does, okay? It's a thing.